Welcome back, folks. It's a new season. Always Bayern Chelsea. The season literally is right around the corner. It is this weekend. We're here to preview the Franz Beckenbauer Super Cup, FC Bayern Munich versus Borussia Dortmund. Number one versus number two in Germany. It's going to be a very special day. If you've been paying attention, you'll know it is also my wedding day. So because of that, that's got to be a good enough reason for you to subscribe and to like this video and to leave a comment. I'd love to know what you guys think is going to happen in this matchup, and also become a member. That will be your wedding gift to me. Will be becoming an Always Bayern Chelsea member.
Yeah, if you're not supporting love, then what are you supporting in this world that we live in? Let's be honest. It's the number one thing that you can support, whether it's my love with Danny, Danny's love with Maddie, the love of ABC family group chats. It's all great love.
Exactly. And that is one of the perks of becoming a member is you get direct access to us. You go into the group chat. It's going to be a blast on Saturday for so many reasons. We'll see what we can do about coverage and catching the match. But of course, the most important thing of the day for us is the wedding. But again, don't worry. We're always Bayern Chelsea. We find a way.
We always do find a way. Let's be honest. There's so many things going on throughout a season, so many matches for these two teams. And a lot of times you just got to make it work.
You just got to make it work. And I don't know how much of a traditional preview show this will be. It's very, very hard to preview this match for a lot of reasons. Usually what I'll do is go through both teams, talk about how their season's been going, talk about recent performances, injuries, and we'll try to predict the lineup and try to predict the final score. We'll still try to predict the lineup, try to predict the final score, but with a team like Bayern, a lot of guys are either just returning from the World Cup or somewhat injured, potentially able to go some minutes, maybe start, maybe not. So it's going to be hard to totally break everything down, but we are going to do our best. That's for sure.
Yeah, first match of the year, and it's a Super Cup match, and it is tough. It's tough when guys were in the World Cup, especially. But the exciting part of it is that it is a Super Cup match. It's two teams that have played each other so many times. So no matter what, you do know it's going to be a good match. That's the one thing I know for sure.
Yeah, Der KLASSIKER. It's always a good match. It's always the blockbuster matchup in all of German football. And if you don't know, the Franz Beckenbauer Super Cup is supposed to be the winner of the German Bundesliga versus the winner of the DFB Pokal, the German Cup. Just a one-off match. This isn't a tournament or anything. This right here is the final. This right here is the match for the trophy. So on one hand, that's why it's so fun and so great to start out the season this way. In my opinion, this match is like the signal for German football of like, all right, the season is starting now. Bundesliga starts the following weekend. But if you'll remember back to last year, Bayern won the league and they won the DFB Pokal, so completing the domestic double, which means that they are playing Dortmund because Dortmund took second in the league. So that's how it shapes up for this one.
Yeah, let's be honest. Bayern was pretty dominant last year, so they're going to be hoping that it's the same case this year. But Dortmund also had a solid year. Let's not pretend like Dortmund are slouches. They're not quite the level of Bayern, but they're still a German stronghold team. So, yeah, I just think, again, with these two teams, it's always interesting.
It's always interesting. And one other thing to mention is that, in my opinion, this is kind of BS. I actually don't know how this is decided. It must just be random, but we're not going to put on any conspiracy theory hats here. But Bayern seems to always end up playing this match away. So this match is at the Signal Iduna Park, even though Bayern did win the Bundesliga and won the DFB Pokal. They're still, I guess, not receiving that home field advantage. Instead, it's Dortmund. So that's a little bit odd to me, but I'm going to bring up our little sofa score graphic here. We can talk about it a little bit more. It is at 1:30 Central Standard Time on Saturday. So I'll be getting ready to get married, and of course, keeping one eye on the game. How could I not? But yeah, you see the odds here. Obviously, Bayern Munich is favored. Favored. I don't know if I would say super super heavily in terms of the odds, but favored by a solid number here, minus 161.
Interesting if this one actually will be on Prime Video. I'm not sure if that's a legit thing. A lot of times it just says Prime when it's actually not, and Prime oftentimes offers subscriptions to other streaming services. So we'll see if that's actually the case. Obviously, a lot of talk before this upcoming season about where to find these German Bundesliga matches.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I'm out here tweeting at the Bundesliga because I don't even know I don't know where to watch the Bundesliga 2 at the moment because St. Pauli was playing. They actually started a week earlier, so their official league season actually started last weekend. I was trying to figure it out, couldn't figure it out. I'm not sure if the German Cup is going to be on the same service where you'll find the Bundesliga, which is, of course, Fandango, and some matches on the USA networks. But I've heard this Super Cup might still be on ESPN, but it's actually kind of hard to confirm it. But what I will say is you can just follow Always Bayern Chelsea here, and you'll get all the coverage that you need.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. You mentioned there's a wedding and things are tough, but if there's one duty that a best man can have, it's making sure that his groom is updated on all things that he needs to know. So always follow Always Bayern Chelsea, because even in tight moments in a pinch, we'll bring you what you need.
Yeah, that is very, very well said. But I want to look at Dortmund really quick. I mentioned that they finished second in the league last year. I don't think we really need to pay a lot of attention to these club friendlies. Losing, yeah, these two matches here against Osaka and Fortuna Düsseldorf. I paid loose attention to those two matches, and they kind of played a mixed lineup. Garassi started both of these matches, if I'm not mistaken, but then it was a lot of younger guys. They did beat Tokyo. Dortmund also was kind of on the Asian tour. And this I don't understand. I mean, Dortmund beat Arsenal, but then lost to them on penalties. I think they just do that for fun. Like maybe you
Probably.
yeah, fill me in there. But I do remember not watching this one, but like checking out, keeping up with the score as it was going on, and then drawing to Roma. So Dortmund kind of having an up and down preseason. I don't think you want to put a ton of weight into these results one way or the other, honestly. But yeah, they finished second last year in the Bundesliga. They had a very strong season for the most part, kind of petered off at the end. For a while, they were, if I'm remembering correctly, undefeated. Now, they were drawing matches, but they weren't losing matches. But what kind of did Dortmund in was honestly just their two losses to Bayern in Der Klassiker. Like that is where Bayern was able to pull away from Dortmund. Dortmund was having a solid season and they were close for a while with Bayern, but that's a huge swing of points losing both of those matches. So that's ultimately where they fell short.
Yeah, I mean, Bayern and Dortmund, let's be honest, they're two teams that are coming into this season with the same manager. So in the preseason, it's not like you're looking for anything too crazy. You're just making sure to really stay fit, get your level up to the speed that you want to start the year at. I wouldn't really, again, as you said, look really anything into these preseason matches, except for some finer things, certain players, if there's new players, guys leaving, who's stepping up in that sense. But yeah, again, with returning managers, I think you'll probably just have to use your baseline of last season for this one for the most part.
Yeah, and speaking of managers, Niko Kovac remains the Dortmund manager, and like you said, yeah, previously managed Bayern Munich. If you follow Bayern back in those days, Kovac is kind of a little bit more of a disciplinarian, kind of a no nonsense kind of guy. Definitely likes more defensive style football. More passive, more structure. And so I think prior to Kovac, Dortmund was kind of swinging back and forth between identities. And I think one thing that Kovac did was ultimately come in and instill an identity in Dortmund. Whether that's the identity you want, I think is maybe a little bit more up for debate. I talk about this a lot on this channel, but he always talks to the media and basically just says, we have no chance against Bayern. They're leagues ahead of us, which it's one thing to believe that, but in my opinion, as a manager, you can't be saying that. I think the right way to go about it is honestly the way that Klopp has been talking about the German national team so far. When asked about the likes of, France and Spain and teams that are clearly better than Germany, what he's been saying is, do they have better players than us? Maybe they do, but I don't think that means that we can't beat them. I don't think it means it's impossible for us to beat them. That's what you need to be saying, just in my opinion, if you're a manager. But Kovac pretty much just takes the opposite approach, which I don't know if it's reverse psychology or what, but he always is talking to the media about how, we have no chance against Bayern.
Yeah, it completely depends on what you think will motivate your players. I could see both sides. If you think telling them that they have no chance will motivate them, that could very well be the case. I think with what Klopp is potentially saying, I don't know the exact quotes, but I could see right through that. Anybody can say that in any match, technically. Oh, their players might be better, but you can win any game. Yeah, that's true with the sport of football. And there's always going to be one team that's more talented, but anybody can win on a given day. So I could kind of see both. Now, I think Klopp's a much better manager than Kovac, so maybe that's part of it as well. I don't know. Clearly, it's not working out for him. So,
yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he makes it through this year. I'm going to be totally honest. I don't know. Dortmund has had some changes in their ownership structure lately, but I don't know exactly what their goals are. Maybe they'll just try to go all out in the Pokal. I mean, last year they ended up losing, I believe it was 1-0 to Leverkusen in either the quarters or the round of 16. So that was definitely a disappointing effort for them. Obviously, they'll be playing Champions League football again. They had an utter collapse in the Champions League last year. So they're going to be looking to do better. I don't exactly know what their goals are, but I think they're going to take this Franz Beckenbauer Cup extremely seriously. And this would be a massive win for Dortmund if they could get this right away.
and as they should, it's a trophy and it's one match. Again, anybody can win one match. Literally anybody.
Yeah, so I just want to go through their squad list really quick, talk about some guys because they have a lot of guys that you'll know if you're, especially if you're a German football fan, if you're a Bundesliga fan, but even if you're just a football fan in general, I think they still do have a good amount of guys that you'll know. We'll go through injuries. I know a little bit about their injury situation, but not all of it. I wouldn't have been able to tell you that Bayer is injured. I think he'll still be able to play. It says bruised knee. I really don't know about that. They also have Fabio Silva, but Serhou Guirassy is their main number 9. And he's been a very solid number 9. He's a good target man. He's decent on the ball. He's not going to blow you out of the water, maybe like some of their past 9s, thinking about Haaland and Lewandowski, but he's still a very good striker, and he's one of the top strikers in the Bundesliga, undeniably. And then you go to their midfield. Felix Nemecha was, I think, slated to kind of be the breakout star for Germany in the World Cup after his awesome performance against Curacao. But ultimately, it was a mistake by Nagelsmann not to play Kimmich in the midfield and instead to go with a Nemecha-Pavlovic pivot because both of them did not do great in the long run in that World Cup. Obviously, Joe Bellingham, too. He did not have a great year last year, in my opinion. Not living up to the lofty expectations of his brother. Then you got ex-Chelsea man, Carney Chukwuemeka right here. I also don't know about this injury. I think he's going to be okay.
No clue.
Marcel Sabitzer, former Bayern Munich. He's just a decent Bundesliga midfielder. Getting up there a little bit in age now. Yeah, 32, but he's solid. They just signed maybe both of them this year, but definitely one of these Greece midfielders this year. So I don't know. One of them super young. Yeah, this guy I think is one that they just signed. Don't know much about him, to be honest. But then Julian Rierson, he is very, very good. Had a very good World Cup, in my opinion, for Norway. And also, I believe, had 4 assists in one match last year. So pretty stellar stuff there. Daniel Svensson is another one that you might know, the Swede. And then, yeah, you go over to defenders. Obviously Schlotterbeck and Emre Can are the big ones, both injured. I don't think either of them are healthy for this match, but those are 2 of the best defenders. Schlotterbeck might be the best defender in the Bundesliga, but either way, Emre Can and Niko Schlotterbeck are 2 of the better defenders in the Bundesliga. Voldemar Anton, another great defender, in my opinion, another German. And Ben Sabadimi is decent as well. But yeah, and then finally, goalkeeper, you got Gregor Kobel, one of the best keepers in the Bundesliga. I think I gave him my keeper of the year last year on my Bundesliga team of the year. So he also had a great World Cup as well, taking down Colombia, as much as I hate to say it, beating them on penalties with Switzerland. So solid squad for Dortmund.
Yeah, I mean, what jumps out to me from this squad is that the 2 defenders being hurt, immediately I think Bayern are just going to feast on that. I mean, I don't care who the rest of your defenders are. I just think Schlotterbeck in particular, as you said, could potentially be the best defender in the Bundesliga. So without him, I think that's really going to be tough. I know it's the first match of the year, and it's not like Bayern are necessarily cooking with all their guys back, but I think that's a major, major blow. And yeah, you kind of said it correct about Nemecha. Talk about a guy who I see him play against Curacao. I think, okay, who the hell is this guy in terms of like being that breakout star potentially?
Mm-hmm.
Man, did he fizzle out?
Yeah.
Man, oh man. So that was disappointing. Is it still going to potentially be his year? I guess we'll find out in a match like this.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. But going over to Bayern, we obviously know how Bayern's been doing. We cover Bayern on this channel, of course. I mentioned it. Won the league last year, won the Pokal, also won the Super Cup last year against Stuttgart. You saw Luis Diaz scoring early there in his first match as a Bayern Munich player. And then also Harry Kane getting a goal in that Super Cup as well. Obviously, Kane scores in every big game, as we know. So, Bayern's preseason, if we go through their friendlies, it's been a good preseason for Bayern, in my opinion, in terms of Kompany. I think kind of got to do what he needed to do, which was give a lot of youngsters some minutes, give a lot of youngsters a chance to prove themselves, guys who will most likely spend the season on Bayern 2 or on loan. But he also played his a lot of his stars a little bit, like enough to shake off the rust. So I think that's really all you want to do in preseason. And after this initial loss to Vehan Wiesbaden, which that game was a starting lineup average age like 16. So it was not even like Bayern 2. It was basically like even younger than that. But then they had their match for the team where they play their training camp, the semi-professional team that they always beat like 20-0. And then they played Jeju as well on their South Korea tour, 2-1. 2-1 against Aston Villa as well in South Korea, 3-1 against Leipzig, and then 4-2 against Heidenheim. And this Heidenheim match, obviously outside of the Jamal Musiala scare, which I'm going to make a quick little video about that as well, might be out when you see this. This match really got me excited again for Bayern. Again, youngsters got the start, especially in the attack. The attack was all youngsters, but there was a point where you subbed on Kane, Olise, and Diaz, and just watching those 3 work together, Olise had a diabolical assist to Luis Diaz, and then Pavlovic sliced a pass through to Nathaniel Brown, who had an awesome goal. So, like, just watching that, it really, like, clicked to me, because finally you have Olise, Kane, and Upa back. First match where they were all back, it like clicked to me like, oh yeah, this is a special squad and this team is going to be incredible. And I felt the feelings that I was feeling last year watching these guys play together.
Yeah, again, tough to judge preseason, especially when you start off with most of your main guys not in the team. You kind of throw away that first 2/3 really, in my opinion, except for some of the young guys who maybe will get more minutes in cup matches, lower league opponents potentially throughout the Bundesliga calendar. But, toward the end, as you mentioned, Bayern starts to cook a little bit more as guys get back, as some of those other younger guys find their footing. We did see some special goals from some of the young guys. We had that free kick against Heidenheim, which was great to see. But
Yep.
again, I don't want to grade too much in the preseason, but I would agree that it was successful overall. And as long as the fitness level of some of these guys is up to Kompany's standard, except for Bambi, of course, I think Bayern should be in a fine spot.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, shout out to Felipe Chavez for that free kick goal. That was nice. Also, shout out to Heidenheim. Their second goal was a dirty volley from maybe on the edge of the box, but it might have actually been outside the box. It was a volley from far away. I forget who tried to clear it, but a Bayern player was trying to clear it, and the Heidenheim player literally just scored off the clearance. It was awesome.
Are they in Bundesliga too?
Yeah, they are. They did get relegated, unfortunately, but Frank Schmidt's still at the helm there. Yeah, so
Sack him.
he's the longest tenured manager
Sack
of the
him.
top 5 leagues. I think it's like 19 years now or something.
Not good enough.
Yeah, but Chavez, I thought had a great preseason. Macon Cardozo did as well. Tim Binder, a guy who I honestly was not really familiar with before this preseason. Those are some of the guys who are going to be on Bayern 2 or on loan that really stood out to me. So, yeah, it's exciting stuff. I mean, if, I guess everybody has a different way of being a fan, but for me, like, the matches are the fun part. That's what you pay for. Like, we got the whole summer, the whole preseason, transfer rumors in the summer, all that stuff. Like,
wait, did you pay for something in the off season to be able to access the team?
Yeah, check out the Twitter. I think I have some tweets going on there because boy oh boy, FC Bayern TV letting me down big time. But yeah, like this is what you live for as a fan, in my opinion, at least for me. The matches, transfer rumors, all that garbage. It's fun to cover here, but we're about to get back into it. So let's predict a lineup for Bayern Munich. I'm gonna honestly, looking at this lineup that SofaScore has, I think this is almost exactly the lineup I think is gonna start. Now, before I begin, there's a lot of question marks. Like I was saying, guys that are not fully healthy, haven't been training, have maybe played 30 minutes or so in preseason. Obviously, Kane, Olise, Upa just got back this week from the World Cup. All 3 of them, you don't know if they'll be good enough to start, good enough to play however many minutes. Limer took a knock. He hasn't been training. Davies, obviously, still working back from that re-injury against I don't remember even who it was against, but they kept him out for the World Cup. Kimmich has not been training. He has an abductor injury. Saibari is just getting 30 minutes here or there in preseason. Obviously, Jamal Musiala, we don't really know what's up with him. To be honest, quite scary. Very freaky stuff. Again, check out the video. I'm hopefully have already dropped by the time you're watching this. But yeah, a lot of guys you don't know exactly what's going to happen for Bayern. But I'm going to go ahead and say that Neuer will start in between the sticks. I think Stanisic will start at right back. I don't think Limer is going to be good enough to go. I'll say Todd and Upa. Don't be surprised if Kim starts. I also am going to say Nathaniel Brown's going to start. He's been having a great preseason. Alphonso Davies, again, likely going to get some minutes in this one, but maybe not starting minutes. And then if Kimmich, let's be honest, if Kimmich can tie his boots, he's going to play. So I'll say Kimmich, even though he will probably play injured, along with Pavlovic. And then I'm going to go ahead and say Olise and Kane. I think Saibari is going to start at the 10. Maybe you'll see some other guys get minutes, maybe even a Tom Bischoff, because Gnabry and Carl, they're also both injured, and they probably won't be fit for this one. And then I think you will see Luis Diaz on the left wing.
Yeah, I'm going to say that Kim starts for Upa. Just don't know if I want my center back that's supposed to have speed potentially playing like 60 minutes. And I don't know if he'd put him out there if he's only going to play 45. But that's just a guess. Again, I think with Schlotterbeck being out, you're going to want to count on your attack more in that first half anyway. And then maybe you can bring in Upa later to shore up defensively. I just don't see how you're going to play Musiala at all in this match, to be completely honest. I know that he's saying that it's all part of the process. You want to live your life and you just got to work through it. To be completely honest, from a sports perspective, like a lineup perspective, strategy, I don't see how you play a guy that is basically going to waste a sub potentially if he does have one of his spells. And as much as I hate to say that, and maybe at some point they're willing to do that, but in a match like this, I can't wrap my head around how you're going to do that.
Yeah, I don't think you should, quite frankly. Yeah, I don't think you
From
should.
a health perspective or strategy perspective? Because I think there's a
Both.
difference.
Both,
Okay.
and I'll tell you why. First of all, strategy perspective, I completely agree with what you said. You know, you can't probably in a match like this waste a sub, especially again with a lot of these guys. You're probably going to want to use all your subs because of what I've been talking about,
Correct.
injuries and guys just getting reintegrated back. So you're going to want to use all your subs. Also, this is a trophy. This match matters, but it doesn't matter enough to me where I'm willing to risk, honestly, the career at this point of Jamal Musiala and just throwing him back in. So to me, it's not worth it that way. Like the whole, like with Musiala's thing, it could be so serious. We could be talking about his career. So like, I don't know when there is a point that you're like willing to risk that, but it's certainly not now. It's certainly not the whole first half of the season for me. And then from a health perspective, again, I'm not a doctor and I get his doctors are telling him it's okay. He's not going to like, I don't know, cause any more brain damage or whatever by going through one of these spells. I believe his doctor's there, but what I don't think they're considering, I know they're not considering this because otherwise they wouldn't just say it's completely all good to play. What happens if he falls down and smacks his head? What happens if he collapses and gets stepped on, gets kicked in the head? He's going up for a header. Like there's a million instances. What if somebody trips over him and twists their ankle? Like there's a million things that could happen if you collapse in the middle of a high intensity sporting event. So while I believe his doctors and I believe, him that it's not something that maybe is going to like cause more brain damage if he keeps fainting, there's other ways you can get injured if you faint in a soccer game. Like that's just how I see it.
Agreed. Yeah. I mean, it's tough. If they're saying it's fine, listen, I trust science. I am somebody that does trust doctors, but I agree. Like, I think he's kind of gotten lucky the last two matches that it's sort of happened almost during a break. And maybe that was because it was happening during stuff. And then he I don't know. I guess we just don't know enough about it, but it does seem kind of lucky how it's happened so far. And like you said, I just doubt he's that lucky again.
Yeah, and Saibari was there to catch him on the first one. And Saibari, as you may know, as a viewer, as a Bayern fan, he had a dear friend who collapsed on the pitch, has been paralyzed since, lived, but hasn't been able to, play sports, of course, or do anything like that. So he's seen that before. And again, like it's a friendly, it wasn't a moment of high intensity where like, guys are running at you. Yeah. So I don't know. Like I in my opinion, I would just let him rest, like let him mentally rest. I get he's going to want to keep playing. That's what every professional level athlete would want to do. And I think that's commendable and respectable. But like, yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't play him in this match. That's for sure.
Yeah. And I hate to say this, but, I'll let you do your video. I'll just quick get this thought in there, and then maybe you can discuss it in your video. But if I'm Bayern, I'm sending him to, whatever they call it, U21, Bayern 2. That's where I'm playing him. And once he gets through 90, maybe a couple times with nothing, then I'm playing him on the regular Bayern team. But that to me is a way better environment to test this out.
Yeah, I think that's a good plan. I have no complaints with that. I think that's a good call. But
I'm a
yeah,
doctor.
of course, and we trust you for that. But yeah, like as far as this match is gonna go, really tough to tell. Again, just because of you know the potential uh, injuries and guys maybe not being fully fit. I actually was gonna say though, I do think that Dortmund might end up going with a back three, like score is suggesting because of the Schlotterbeck injury, the Chan injury. So yeah, this is an interesting lineup for Dortmund. It's okay, but I really I really struggle to see Bayern losing this match unless they don't take it seriously and a lot of guys don't play. If a lineup that's roughly like the one we're seeing on the screen here that we just outlined plays, I think Bayern wins. I don't think they're gonna wallop them. It's so early in the season, and Kovac is such a coach who emphasizes defending. So my prediction is going to be 2-1 Bayern. But we do actually have a full season prediction video out now that you can go watch where we talk about all this stuff. And I did predict Bayern to win it in that one. And even now that we have a little bit more information about this match, I'm still going Bayern 2-1.
Yeah, I'm going 3-2. Bayern get the victory, a brace from Harry Kane in the first half. And then I think in the second half, we get a goal late from Pavlovic.
That would be nice. That'd be nice. I'd take it. Any way to get the Super Cup back in our hands, I would take it.
And it's going to be a beautiful day.
It is going to be a beautiful day. Of course, of course. So yeah, I think that's going to do it. Do you have anything else you want to say about this match?
Not about this match, but just about that day. We've talked about the membership process that we have here at Always Bayern Chelsea, and if you do want to become a member tier 2, maybe you'll get a peek behind the scenes at Danny's special day. Maybe you'll see a little video of me potentially testing out my chops with the mic. So just teasing that. We'll see if it actually happens, but you'll only potentially see that if you are a tier 2 member.
So become a member, tier 2, ABC family, subscribe, like this video, comment your predictions for the match. I want to know what everybody thinks about all this stuff. And I was going to say one more thing, and for the life of me, I can't remember what it is.
If you haven't already, watch Danny's video about Jamal Musiala. Of course, let's keep him in our thoughts. And also, this weekend, Chelsea does not play. As a reminder, they play Monday, actually, the last game of this first EPL weekend. Kind of sucks they don't play on the weekend, but at least we got Bayern.
We're back. We're just back. That's how we're gonna end this one. We are back. And Mia Samia.
Up the Chelsea.
And thank you to our members who you're gonna see right now.